In this video, I will show you how I created this Mulan movie poster in Photoshop. Alright, if you want to recreate this, you can find all these images in the description of the video. So first thing, obviously, what you would need to do is to get rid of the background. I did this with a pen tool in this. So if you want to know how to do that, I will link that video up in the screen. Alright, let's make a new file, and here I'm going to select print. I'm just gonna do this on A5. So if you want a bigger size, just do A4 or A3, whatever. So create, and first thing I want to do here is to put all these images in the right position. So I have downloaded all these images that I want to use in this composition. You can see here I have put everything in folders so I don't get confused with all these layers. And last thing I want to add to this is this grass, and let's put this there. So we can make this smaller. Want some grass here in the background. If you press Ctrl Command J, you can duplicate it layer and just move it there. Alright, let's start with blending everything together. This is grass. First I want to make sure the colors are right. These are way too bright, so let's first start off with here with Mulan, and let's open up camera raw filter and give it a bit of sharpening. She's a little bit not sharp enough for this. I'm gonna make sure the background is unsharp and she's sharp. Now let's start off with doing this grass. I want to create new layer here and select hue and saturation. Press this so we only affect the layer underneath it. Let's put it above this folder so we affect the whole folder. Let's bring this down, and also the lightness. Press this, bring it all the way down like that. Now let's also do some curves here, get more contrast in it. Looks a bit gray. Let's increase the highlights here like that. All right, that looks fine. Next, this tree here. Let's also do some hue and saturation on this tree. So I'm gonna press hue and saturation here, press this again, and bring it a bit down and drop some lightness, and also do some curves on this one to get rid of, so give it a bit more contrast like that. And let's move this a bit around. I want to make it more like a red, so I'm gonna move this slightly to the right. This is the hue and saturation layer. Now I can make this even smaller. It looks a bit too big to me. You can even stretch this out if you hold on shift and do this. So press Ctrl Command T to bring up the free transform window. It's stretched out. Now I want to get rid of these roots here, so I'm just gonna create a mask on it and press them away. I don't want to have these roots. This is fine. Now let's do this lamp here. This lamp it's way too yellowish now, so I'm also gonna do hue and saturation here to get rid of some of that red. And let's move this slightly to the right like that. And now we can do the background, also some hue and saturation. Let's get rid of some of these colors. Let's make it a bit lighter. I feel like it's too dark. Just slightly, like +10. So we have better contrast between her and the background. You can see her better now. All right, let's do her now. Also hue and saturation, and I'm gonna drop some color from her to blend this better together. As you can see, this starts to blend in better together when you drop colors like that. It blends better. And also some curves on her. Let's do a little bit like that. Maybe a bit more midtones. I think this looks fine. All right, now we can do some shadows and all the other stuff. So the ground here, we didn't touch that one yet. So I'm gonna also do a hue saturation here and get rid of this color here, like that. And add some curves to this. And with the curves, I can create a nice lighting for this background. We can make this really dark first, like that. And now we can make another curves layer, and this one I'm going to use to make areas lighter. So first I will make it really light. Then I will just press on the layer, on the mask of it. Let me stretch out like that, or else you can't see it very good. If you press on this mask of it and press Ctrl Command I, it's gonna get rid of it because it's all black. And now if you select the white brush with just opacity and flow at 100 and hardness at 0, just a soft round brush, we can make areas lighter. I want to create some lighting here, so I want to make some areas like a bit lighter, like that. Maybe we can leave this a bit dark, just a little bit lighter in the background. All right, let's do some lighting from this lamp. I'm gonna create a new layer in this folder. Then I'm gonna go here and pick a color. I think I want something like orange, yellow, and just make a dot in the center of this light source. Change the blend mode. You can do screen first, make this small. So this is like the place where the light starts. If you press Ctrl J, you can duplicate this, make it bigger, and change the blend mode to overlay. Now we have a bit like glowing lights. All right, we need to make sure the area around this lamp is also glowing. So let's first make shadows around it. I'm gonna make a new layer here, put it underneath this lamp. And with the normal brush, I can make a bit of a shadow here. So if you drop the opacity and flow really low, you can just make like a bit of a shadow. Looks more real. That's fine. I'm gonna drop some more color from it. I feel like this red is too much. Like that. It's better. Alright, and now we can make lighting reflecting on this tree. First, I'm gonna make this tree a bit darker with curves. Like that. And now I can make another curves. And this I'm gonna make light. But I'm gonna press Ctrl Command I on it, the mask, to get rid of it. And now I can bring back some parts. So I want a bit more light here. And like here. Need to make sure to bring the opacity and flow all the way up again. That's better, like that. Here a bit of light. And let's also do these flowers in these trees. Back to lighting. Like that. And let's keep the right side of this tree dark, so you can see here we have like a bit dark areas. So that's fine. Make sure these flowers are light. Just a bit darker on the inside there. That. Right, let's leave it like that. I'm gonna drop the opacity here a bit. This looks fine. Right, now we can create some glow around this lamp. So I'm gonna create a new layer in this lamp folder. And this time I'm gonna pick something like a bit orange. Something like this. And just make a dot. Change the blend mode to overlay and put it there. Alright, we can see here it's like a nice reflection we have now. But we don't want this reflection in the background. We just want it around this lamp. So I'm just gonna brush it a bit away here. The grass there. Don't want it there. Alright, this looks fine. This is a bit too much. So I'm gonna drop the opacity of the light source like that. Alright, moving on. Let's make some light source like here in the left top corner. So I'm gonna do this above all the other folders in these layers. Let's close this, or else we get confused. So I'm gonna create a dot there, like almost yellowish white. Just make a dot and move it to that side. Now, if we press Ctrl Command T, we have this free transform window. If you hold down Command or Ctrl on Windows and take one corner, we can stretch it out. we can create like there's coming some light from one side. Oh, let's press enter and do it again like that. It's a bit yellowish, so I'm gonna press Ctrl Command U and make it a bit more white. That. Let's make another dot here. This I'm gonna make a bit more yellow like that. Move it there, change blend mode to screen. So now we have a nice light source coming from there. All right, this looks fine. Let's move this a bit. Gonna rotate this so it doesn't really go in her face, but next to her. Right, now I can work on the lighting on her. She looks flat to me, so I'm gonna create a curves layer on her and bring the lightness down. So the highlights I'm gonna bring all the way down first. Next I will grab a normal brush, just a black brush, and start making areas lighter. So we have lighting from there, so we can make this lighter. A bit here, to make sure these are light. I think she's a bit too dark now, so I'm gonna bring this a bit up. Let's make her face lighter again. I want to ruin her face. Let's make these areas light. Just need to make sure this right side is a bit darker. So this was before, this after. We got a bit more shadows now. Alright, this looks fine. Let's add some blur to this background. This background I'm going to rasterize this first, because I want to use lens blur for this. If we go to blur gallery, if we go to blur, I mean blur, not blur gallery, we have lens blur here, and here I can give it like a realistic blur. Don't do it too much, just a bit, so we have more focus on her instead of this background. I think this is even too much, so I'm gonna do it again. Lens blur, I think something like 10 is fine. Just a bit of a blur there. All right, that looks nice. And now we can add this grass also in front of her. So I have this grass folder, but we have also these layers here, so I'm gonna put this all in one folder. This is grass. If you press Ctrl J and just duplicating this, and take this whole folder and put it above the other layers. Now we can put some grass here, and with this grass here I can just make a mask, and with the normal brush I can brush parts away. Just a bit more grass here to fill up this composition. Let's see, something like this. Maybe one more. Just make sure to make it bigger when you move it closer to the camera. See how this looks. You can even put it in front of her. Let's do it like this. So if like this, a little bit of grass here. And let's do one more behind her. So she's like standing in between all this grass. All right, this is fine. This gives the composition a bit more details and stuff like that. Let's see, this is a bit too light for me. This is like the lighting I did here. So what I'm gonna do is give it a bit more dark tones. And the midtones can go up like that. I think this looks better. All right, let's see, let's move this here. Gonna rotate it slightly. So usually I spend a lot of time on just changing things and rotating it and stuff like that. But maybe this looks even better if we do it like that. All right, now we can make sure she is standing at the right spot. So maybe we can make her smaller. All right, this looks fine. Let's add this ribbon I have here. I want to create a bit more depth in this image, so I have this ribbon. I think this fits this movie. And if we make this like really big, and first get rid of these colors because it's way too red. Let's move it like that and like that. Give it a bit of a curves. Make this darker. Like that. And now we can just add some Gaussian blur to this, and it looks like it's close to the camera. So that's really easy to create some depth in your whole composition, poster, whatever. And just make sure don't put it like this or something, because you don't want to ruin her face. Let's move it a bit like, let's see, maybe this looks nice. A bit more movement. All right, I think this looks fine. But now this tree in the background, it's really disturbing me because it has all these details. So what I'm going to do with this tree is make a smart object, and I'm gonna blur this out. I don't want to see this tree actually, and if I'm gonna blur this out, I need to make sure that the stuff here, like this lamp and this grass, stuff like that, is also blurred out. So let's give this tree blur. So we have all our focus on Mulan here. So let's do the same for this lamp. I'm gonna press on this layer of it and just filter blur, give it Gaussian blur like that. And also this grass, obviously, because it's at the same range as this tree, close to this tree. Blur this out, and also this ground here. But for this ground, I'm going to use, let's see, blur gallery tilt shift. So with tilt shift, I can make sure it starts blurring out, and after that it goes to not blurred out, if that makes sense. So let's move this here, and let's see, I think this needs to go up, so we don't have like this really harsh blur. Let's see, like that. Yeah, I think this looks fine. So this is the grass here. I want a bit of, I'm going to press Ctrl Command E to rasterize this folder of it and give this a bit of blur, not much. Just a little bit less than the background. So we create a nice depth in this image. This is fine. Let's see. Move it a bit down like that. All right, now we can add a bunch of stuff in the foreground because we have all this blur in the background, and if we make more stuff in the foreground, we can create nice movements here. So I'm just gonna duplicate this. Let's see, put this here. Right, I need to make sure when I duplicate this that I duplicate this whole folder instead of just the layer, because we have like these adjustment layers here. I'm gonna make sure those are also duplicated. All right, I have these blossom leaves. If you download, sometimes you download files and they're like PNG, they are actually not. As you can see, you can really easily remove this back on this one. Make sure you disable contiguous here and select the magic wand tool, and just press on the gray ones, press delete, press on the light gray ones, press delete, and you have the background gone. For this one, doesn't matter because I'm gonna blur this out, so the quality here, you can see it's not so good, but whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm going to blur this out to create some nice movements here, like we have these leaves flying around her. The only thing I have to do here is to give it a bit of a blur. That's pretty much it. Just don't put too much of these around her, or else it's gonna get all messed up. Let's see, something like this is fine. Let's make sure they don't go in her face, and maybe a little bit less of this red, so it blends nice with this background. Let's do also a bit of a curves to these leaves, make them a bit darker like that. So we still have a focus on her instead of these leaves. If you have them like this, it's gonna get, well, you're taking the attention away from her into these leaves. Let's make a mask and get rid of one of these, or maybe this one. Let's get rid of them both because I want to have the text here. So this is fine. Is the final step, well, almost the final step. I usually create a gradient map on top of everything. If you search on Google for 105 inspiring bee gradients, you can find these gradients. They are just free and you can download them. And usually I just go around all these gradients and see which one looks good. So this is what I do to usually get the color tones first almost like all the same, in the same range, and after that I just make them even better in camera raw filter. So I think for this one we can, let's see, something like this. Maybe this will work. Let's see. Change the blend mode to soft light. These colors blend better together. So I think this looks fine. If we disable this, enable this, just a bit of these to get the more overall feeling that it's better. All right, next thing I will do is press on the here, press a new layer, then press Command or Control Alt Shift E. So we have a duplicated version of everything. Make a smart object. And now we want to go to filter, camera raw filter. And with camera raw filter, I can get the colors exactly how I want to. So this is the final step of the whole process. And here I can change lighting and stuff like that. So for this, I could make a bit more contrast. Let's increase the highlights a bit, shadows a bit, so it won't be too dark. Let's see the whites. We can drop the whites because if we have too much whites, it's gonna get ruined. Bit less whites. Let's see the blacks. Maybe a bit more black. And let's give it a bit more texture. Or we can do less texture, then it looks softer. So this is really what you want to do with the image. If you want to have it like this, you can do it like that. I think I want to have less texture. I think this looks better. And let's also drop the clarity a bit here, so you have more like a feeling of a cartoon. Do too much, it's gonna look too much like a cartoon. We don't want that. Just a bit. I think this is fine. All right, next is dehaze. Just a bit of a dehaze. Let's increase the vibrance here. So usually to bring up colors, I don't use saturation, I use vibrance. Like that. Let's leave that one there. All right, moving on. This one, let's increase the sharpening and give it a bit of luminance to make it soft. All right, this looks good. Next thing is the colors. So in here, I can make the colors really cool. So this is really what you want to do with the image. If you want to have it like more purple, you can just move it like that. But I think she needs to be red. So I'm just going to give it a bit more purple, not much. This is the oranges. Let's leave that one. This is like the background thing. Let's move it a bit to the left. Greens from the grass. This looks also really colorful, but I don't think we need to do that. But let's do it a bit. Just a little bit like that. This is nothing. This is the background. Let's make it dark. All right, moving on to saturation, and here I will do the same, just to get these colors really nice and popping out. Let's see the oranges. She needs a bit more skin color here, or less. I think a little bit less. The yellows. Let's get rid of the yellows. This is from the light source. I don't want to have yellow as light source. It makes it look really cheap. So actually I get rid of that. This is the greens again. Let's drop that one. This is nothing. This is the background, as you can see. Get rid of that. And moving on to luminance. And here I can make it even better. Let's see if we move this to the right a bit. Don't do this because it's gonna get all white. And this is the lighting. This looks also nice. All right, I think this is it for the colors here. Moving on, I want a little bit of vignette here, so we have more focus on her instead of stuff around her. So I'm just gonna do slightly like. All right, this is fine. Moving on, let's see what we have here. A bit of color changes here. Let's leave that all. Now press OK, and that's it. As you can see, this was before and this after. Looks a lot better now. And next thing I could do is press Ctrl Alt Shift E again to make duplicated version. Change the blend mode to vivid light. Go to filter, other high pass. And here I can get some more details to make this whole composition finished. So as you can see here, we get a bit more details. And now what I want to do is to add the text and just put the text down here a bit smaller. And here you can put the date or something like that. So that's pretty much it. That's how I made this poster. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and maybe you want to check out one of these if you want to learn more. Till then, see you in the next video.